All
Understandable.
right. It is. It really is frustrating. And
So maybe we can talk a little bit about that the frustrating part and why people are very leery about
mhm.
getting into cryptos.
Well, the first thing is the aspect of self-responsibility really is a hurdle for a lot of people. And so because it's a hurdle for so many people, when there are problems in crypto, these developers are just automatically regurgitating, imagine you're pretty good. Imagine you're a pretty good techie, or you know a lot about a specific field, and you call customer support, and they are replying to questions you're not asking. They're replying to, like, it's like you call up customer support and it's all the level 1 answers that they did you plug it in? You know, the equivalent occurs in blockchain, but the words sound different, right? And so all we have to do is we have to kind of pound it through their head. No, 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 we're not the beginners that you deal with 99% of the time. And so it boils down to showing this particular group that we're looking to go beyond the level 1 customer support answers here. Okay, this isn't an issue of keys. This is an issue of software being unstable. That's what this is. This isn't about whether or not we have the right keys, because if it had to do with keys, we would have said something like, oh, I've got these 2 sets of keys and I can't figure out which one. No, that's not the conversation. We have 1 set of keys written down, confirmed. That's what we have. You're signing in every single day. That automatically means that the key is correct because you put it in. You put it in and it's been showing these wallet addresses all this time. For those wallet addresses to flip is just insane. It's insane to think that that's user error, but they don't know any better. So it really does boil down to holding your ground when you have these kinds of situations. You are this self-responsibility thing is exactly that's the big hurdle for a lot of people. And once you're over that, you don't have this layer 1 customer support type of conversation anymore. You just don't. So it is frustrating, and these frustrations are unfortunately going to continue for a little while longer, I believe, until these developers clue in that we're not stupid. That's just what it's going to take. We're going to have to craft that nicely. And I wanted to talk more about the mindset
What
behind
I'm
it.
thinking, Paul, though, is for people new coming into, because I know I have some friends who are like, I'd never go into doing cryptos
Right.
and doing that
Yeah.
because, oh my gosh, right? Well, I can't say I'm experienced in it,
Right.
right? But I have my wallets. I make sure I write things down. So that's, I guess, one of the things new people is cross-reference, check,
Yep.
write it down, make sure it's in a place where, I have a book that, I
Mhm.
write it down and I make sure that my passwords and my 12-year or 24 words are in a place where I can reference, right?
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
cross-referenced a couple of times to make
Mhm.
sure that they're right.
Yeah.
So kind of what we're experiencing right now is one of those wallets kind of disappeared. And
Well, yeah, several of the addresses associated with that wallet disappeared and flipped.
yeah,
Flipped is what happened. The wallets
we can
themselves
find
haven't
them.
disappeared. Yeah.
We know where they
There we
are.
can even
We can
see the
find them.
money that you deposited in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the actual wallet, they're changed. But that's like in my other wallets that everything's fine. Everything's there,
Right.
right? I can use my password to get in and see everything.
Mhm.
And every once in a while, yeah, I have to use my word phrases. But that's not a reason, I don't think. Like this
Mhm.
issue is not a reason not to do it, right? To be
Right.
afraid and go, ah, you know, this is just a glitch.
Exactly.
This is
This
just
is a
we're
glitch.
going to
Yeah.
work it out. And if we don't work it
Mhm.
out, that wallet is going to be trashed everywhere.
Oh my gosh, they are going to lose, like, this won't go unfinished. Like, they are
Because
either
you've
going to
taken your
figure
money
out
out
what
of it
happened.
already, right, Jennifer?
You got
You've
yours
taken
out,
your money out
Jennifer?
of this wallet. Oh, we can't hear
Oh,
you.
you're muted.
Sorry. I have everything except for one coin that I can't get out of it.
Which one?
Algorand.
Algorand, you can't make a withdrawal?
They said there's a problem with, I don't know, something, and I could try it on an Android device and see it should work, but I don't know.
Oh, you're going to have to
Wow.
figure out that one
Yeah.
now.
And I
Isn't that
tried
something, eh?
swapping it in there, and that you can't swap it either. So interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, but
Well, so
I guess
there's more, right? So
yep,
there's
there's
another
another one.
indicator. There's another indicator. This is not a good wallet.
Yeah.
And you had said, Paul, that it was that when you were now researching a bit more about this wallet, that it had something, what was it? It was something bad. It was
On some list that indicates it wasn't
on
Yes,
some
trustworthy, right?
it is on a list of it is on a repository, I
malware.
should say, a repository for an open source firewall. So if you were to install a firewall on your computer and go through a list of, and you can even just use the default list, be like, block any websites that have to do with this list of complaints. And so it's not whether or not it is a scam, but it is on the list. So someone reported it.
Hmm.
So that is, and the fact that they are so insistent on passing the blame back to you
Yeah.
is an indication. Now, just again, it's not proof, but it is an indication that they don't have integrity.
Yeah. And then now knowing that this is something has happened to Jennifer, right? But I guess my point in this is that it's still not a reason not to do this,
Hmm.
right? Not to invest money, not to take
Right.
responsibility, not to do it this way, right?
You know,
It's just one wallet.
right. This is why one of the things that may be helpful to avoid this type of situation when we are testing out a new wallet, I think it would be advantageous to go ahead, open up the wallet, take down your key phrase, but then go to another wallet. For instance, these key phrases, you can open them up in other wallets. So it doesn't have to be Atomic. You could open it up in Trust or Exodus. It would be worth it. Get your key phrase and then go and test it out on one of those other wallets, just as a separate backup, right? If that way, like Atomic, for whatever reason, they they have addresses switch for whatever, we don't know why, can't explain it, whatever the case may be. But I mean, they can't all be doing this. It's blockchain. They can't all be doing that. And so let's explore the idea of, when we get these keys, test those keys with other wallets. And that way, those other wallets are open, there, visible. You can go and see the assets in those wallets. That
I have a
way, if
question.
Atomic fails, at least you have a backup. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I have a question with that. So would we put a little bit of assets in there first so we can see it? Like, I mean, I wouldn't say put a lot in there, but, or do you have to have something in there?
You could. I would just check the wallet addresses of the assets you want to deposit. So, for instance, if you're starting it up and you're like, okay, here's my atomic wallet. Yay. I'm going to put in some Hedra. Okay. Well, when we do that restore in another wallet, say we do it in Trust. So Trust Wallet now has the same accounts. You just check the Hedera addresses. Make sure that the Hedera address listed in Atomic is the same as the Hedera address listed in Trust. And then do a test transaction if you'd like. Again, just layering on that certifiability in your own mind, because really we can't trust the developers. We're not supposed to trust the developers. The whole idea behind blockchain is to be trustless, right? So that would be a way that you could double check the work, compare the addresses, and keep them open. So, I'm going to sign in with Atomic Wallet. Okay, awesome. You want to manage everything with Atomic Wallet. Awesome. Have this one for backup in case that one fails. That would be a way to mitigate this.
Yeah. So these are just lessons going along the way, right?
Yeah. This is right here. The reason why like all of this whole situation is precisely the reason why with Daedalus wallets, that's the full node wallet from Cardano, they give you it's mandatory 24-word key phrase, first of all. And they give it to you. And before you can even use the wallet, you have to enter in all 24 words, right? That's how they confirm you got the key. And I think that we're going to see more of that. Every once in a while you see it with the browser wallets where they'll give you the key phrase, and then the next screen it'll be like, okay, enter words 5, 17, and 22. And then you'd go and look for word 5, 17, and 22 and put them in. But I think we're going to see more and more. We're going to see wallets requiring you to enter in the entire key phrase before that wallet activates, simply because we all need to minimize this kind of thing from happening.
Because I know I wrote it down right. It's right.
And again, this goes to Atomic. You don't have your software have the capacity to switch addresses within the fact that that's possible. We've just proved that it is possible. And these developers are just going to have to humble themselves. And actually, if they don't, they will crumble. They will lose their business, because this will not end. I guarantee it.
No, I'm going to fight to get my money back.
Yep.
Because I worked hard for that money.
And
I know where it is. This is the thing.
Yeah, that's the worst of it, is that you can just see them.
See it. Right? And within here, we're working on an end strategy, right? An exit strategy to use, what we're investing in. And then we're going to get out of that stuff and get into something else. Well, if I can't get to my investments, how can I get out?
Not on those ones. That's the problem. On those particular assets, there's nothing happening. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some news here.
Yes, thank you.
Highlights. This is from Virtual Bacon. Virtual Bacon I follow on X. This guy here is, he's very well informed, has been successfully trading in crypto space since 2016. I think it was 2017. So first things that he lists out here, market updates, is US Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs see $1.1 billion in inflows. So they're just keeping on buying. They're just buying. leading at 978 million as Bitcoin tops the 100,000 for a short time, signaling renewed institutional interest. ZK Sync's TVL surged 90% to 184 million. This is total volume leveraged or something like that. Ignite launched the Ignite program, allocating 60 million in ZK tokens over 9 months to boost DeFi liquidity. So ZK Sync, that's a liquidity provider for DeFi loans. US spot Bitcoin ETFs accumulated 51,500 Bitcoin in December. But this is key. Nearly 3 times the Bitcoin mined. So remember, in Bitcoin, you've got miners, and it's always about, proof of work and proving that you are able to algorithmically, mathematically figure out where the Bitcoin is and mine it. There we go. Got a Bitcoin. By the way, it costs about $40,000 to mine 1 Bitcoin. So but the mining is capped. You can't mine more than 450 per day or something like that. And so in December, the amount of Bitcoin mined through this proof of work algorithmic process was only 13,850 Bitcoin. But they're selling the Bitcoin through these ETFs at a rate 3 times higher. This is why, like, it was earlier this year. I said there will never be enough Bitcoin now. Like, they've literally turned Bitcoin into a Ponzi scheme. They're selling Bitcoin that doesn't exist. That's something else. So this is going to be over leveraged for sure. The bubble is going to be great. Ripple teams up with Chainlink to enhance RLUSD stablecoin adoption on DeFi, stabilizing secure real-time transactions on Ethereum and XRP Ledger. So XRP, Ripple, they've been a part of this idea of, standardizing finance in cryptocurrencies using the old banking model. And I'm not a huge fan of that at all. In fact, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to have people who have been a part of the banking system, of which people have been disillusioned into consenting to their own slavery. I don't like the idea of that banking system having people figure out how to create a new one. No, I don't think they should have anything to do. I don't think anybody who has any profitability in the old monetary system should have anything to do with creating a new one. That's just my thoughts. Backpack Exchange acquires FTX EU, plans to launch crypto derivatives across Europe under MiFID II compliance. So again, we're just coming up with more rules and regulations, arbitrary rules and regulations on how monies are allowed to be managed by people. It's just ridiculous. But Backpack Exchange acquires FTX. Well, FTX was the company that had to get shut down there in 2022. Was it 22? It was 2023. In 2023, they had to shut down that company because of all the illegal activity that company was doing. Well, sorry, I should say they had to shut it down because that company got caught with their illegal activity. They all do. And so Backpack has bought the European Union division of FTX. That's what that's saying. So major major acquisition there. Hashkeys secures VASP approval in Ireland, expanding crypto trading and custody services in Europe, bolstering global reach. So Hashkey they are getting the ability to be an exchange, right? And so then they are now compliant, got their VASP approval, and away they go. They'll be providing services in Europe. So stationed in Ireland, all across Europe. Arthur Hayes predicts crypto market peak in March 2025. driven by $600 billion liquidity from US Fed and Treasury, urging risk takers to go degen. So degen is a term in crypto, just means we're not here for anything other than the money. And that's basically what I am doing with the AI bubble. I will definitely be making some strategic moves after this bubble. There's no question. But really, I'm here for the most degenerate money you can possibly make, because that's how these bubbles work. It's a zero-sum game. The economy doesn't actually gain more money. It's just who's the most shrewd at being able to get the most money in their pocket. That's how these bubbles work. And it's called degenerate money. It means that you're taking money from degenerates. Czech National Bank Governor Alice Mitch is considering Bitcoin for future reserves. So in the Czech Republic, now they're looking at using Bitcoin for reserves as a part of diversification, reflecting a global shift towards crypto as a reserve asset. Awesome. Good job. Good job. You're basing your money off of a Ponzi scheme. Now, people are going to hate me for saying that Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. But once you've got these ETFs and they're selling them at 3 times the rate that the Bitcoin can be mined, I don't know what else you can possibly call it other than a Ponzi scheme. And, great job, Czech Republic, for going ahead into that. That'll bite you in the ass. Sollayer introduces Infinizm, hardware accelerated Solana blockchain, claiming 1 millisecond transaction confirmation and 100 gigabit throughput. So they're boasting a great deal of volume. They can do a large amount of transactions in one block very quickly. Well, this is something that is concerning, because it's like, okay, great, you've caught up. We had in December, I think it was the beginning of December. Yeah, when the constitutional conventions were happening in South America, Cardano was partnered up with Hydra, and Hydra is basically an add-on to the Cardano ecosystem to help process transaction faster, because that's the biggest argument in crypto, where you need to get these transactions faster. And I think at Christmas, or rather during Christmas, the transaction processor, the payment processor, Visa, has the highest market share. And it's, I think it's 19 million transactions a second is where they peak out during Christmas season. 19 million transactions per second, I think. No, it's like 19 million in one day or something like that. So it's a lot. I know that. And what Hydra does is that they basically decentralize the processing of these transactions. So what they were able to do is demonstrate a gaming tournament. So because transactions are just data being transferred. That's all it is. That's all a transaction is. Just data transferring from one place to the other. It's a transaction of data. So what they did was that they hooked up Doom. There's an old video game, first-person shooter, one of the first ones that really became a cult classic. And you go around and you just shoot aliens and blow their brains to bits with, more creative guns. That's basically what Doom was. And because it was a cult classic, what Hydra did was that they demonstrated that they could actually process these transactions very fast by hosting a tournament for Doom. And it was called Hydra Doom Tournament. And you could go and sign up and start playing Doom right online. But what Hydra was doing was that every single frame that changed in the game across all of the players who were playing the tournament, every single frame was saved as a transaction. And they accumulated something like, it was crazy. can't remember the numbers. I'd have to go look it back. It was like 3 or 4 times what Visa would experience at the peak of Christmas. So, it's been long proven that we don't have a problem with processing transactions fast enough, and that the methodology by which this gets accomplished within Cardano consumes 10,000 times less electricity than Bitcoin. So when a company comes out, hey, we can now hardware accelerate Solana, and now we can do a transaction in 1 millisecond. It's like, well, Hydra was processing like tens of thousands of transactions in 1 millisecond during that tournament, because they had so many players playing the game. Each frame was a transaction. And they were, I mean, how fast is a frame? Well, a frame in that game is, I think in Doom, it's 15 frames per second. So they're doing it in 1/15 of a second. They were processing more transactions than Visa does at peak times in Christmas. So this here doesn't really accomplish anything amazing. Great, awesome. You added it to Solana. Congrats. Let us know when you'd like to do something current. Like, thanks for catching up just in time for the bubble. That's how I look at it. CoinSwitch launches a $70 million recovery fund for Wazirk's hack victims, targeting 4 million users, aiming to distribute funds over 2 years. All right, so there's a bunch of people looking to protect people who got hacked. Great. I don't know much about that, but there you go. That's the news events in the last 24 hours from Virtual Bacon. Thank you very much. I do want to grab a couple of charts here, because we had a big, I got to pause for a second. I'm not sure if people remember me saying this or not, but towards the beginning of December, I said, when things take off for the altcoins, it's going to be whiplashy. Things are going to go up and down real fast, a lot of volatility. And that's exactly what's happened. This is the 2-hour chart. You can see we had that rise there on Wednesday, the 1st, last week.
We're not seeing you, Paul. We're not seeing your screen.
Seeing me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I can also see that I'm a little bit wide. There we go. All right. So here we have, is that right? Yes. So yeah. So here on the 1st, jumped up and then it jumped back down again. This is the crypto 30. This is the global 30 index of the top 30 coins. Going to Cardano, we can see that same thing happened. Now, this is the type of volatility that we can expect to see when we're getting loaded up. I mean, the institutions know what they're doing. Like, that's a 25% rise and then coming back down 19%. You can increase your holdings with these types of moves. Again, we'd have to be watching the charts all the time and do a lot more analysis, a lot more in-depth analysis. But the institutions do this on autopilot. So this is to be expected as we're loading up, getting ready for the next run. Solana, same thing. Injective, same kind of thing, just different time frame. We're seeing it clear across the board, except for some of these layer 2 coins, 3 protocol. Woo, though, experienced it. Destra, in a different price form, like a different price action, but similar activity. So this is what we're up against right now. We're watching everything get loaded up. So we're going to see the volatility continue. And I would say once we see Ethereum, I've been saying this for a while, of course, once we see Ethereum actually do something other than contemplate its navel, once it reaches this all-time high and breaks above that, that's when we're going to see the consistency. So things are going to be choppy all over the place until Ethereum is done sucking its thumb. And I really look forward to the day where Ethereum is wiped off the face of the planet because of how unuseful it is in these like all these transactions. Like who on you want a $5 latte? It's going to cost you $25 in transaction fees. Anyway, I'm not going to rant about that too long. I'm done ranting about it already. So there you have it. That's yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that. I'm going to be talking about a couple things here before we close things off. If we want to know what's going on in the world today, it's really important that we look at how dead people have seen what these cycles are like, because by seeing how and I'm by dead people, I mean it. People who are no longer living, who have been writing about the times that we're in for a long time. You know, Martin Luther, the Protestant Reformationist, who wrote the 95 Theses and put it on the door of the Catholic Church. That guy has been writing. He was writing about what we're experiencing today. He wrote a massive 65,000 word thesis on it, or rather, what do they call that? A treatise. Well, a book that we need to read is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Now, if you haven't read it, I got some great news. We're going to start a book study for it. And I can tell you that it doesn't matter what walk of life that I have studied. I've watched different people from different walks of life talk about the economics of today. And all of them agree that Atlas Shrugged should be a required reading for anyone who wants to survive the Great Reset. And I'm more and more I'm tending to agree with that. There are other books that I think would probably be more important, like how
put them in the chat, Paul?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So Atlas Shrugged is important because it clearly lays out, and with painstaking detail lays out what the consequences of allowing people who don't produce anything to make choices on what gets produced. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand was influential. It definitely changed my life. I read it in 2010, shortly after discovering the corruption in the financial world. And I was probably halfway done it, and I realized just how much transformation of my own paradigms I needed to undertake. Never mind how much I had already had. But it hit me like a ton of bricks. I've got a lot of paradigms to re-engineer. And Atlas Shrugged is incredibly helpful in doing just that. So we're going to start a book study, and it's going to be a pretty significant commitment. We need to get through it fast. It's a large book. On Audible, it takes 60 hours to listen to it. So it's a pretty good book. We're going to be moving at a fairly quick pace, gathering probably 2 or 3 times a week to go over it. We're going to have homework. We're going to read it ourselves at home, and then we come together to discuss it twice a week. And we got to get through the book quite quickly because of how imperative it is that people have a comprehension of where it is we are in this timeline. And we're very close to the end. I'm not sure. Has anybody seen what's happened to Los Angeles yesterday? Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now that the parallels that occur within this book, Atlas Shrugged, are uncanny. Like, it was like she peered into the future and described with painstaking detail what we're going through today. And I would say that we're actually coming close to the end of the book in the story, like in the timeline of things. However, I actually believe that it's not ending well. I believe that the way the book ends is far more advisable for humanity. And that's why I believe it should be a required reading, because otherwise people aren't going to know what they need to do in order to stop this from happening. But now we've got Trump talking about taking over Canada as 51st state. Well, there are two major issues that I have with this. Number three, actually. Number one, I've been teaching people about constitutional conventions for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. And my contemporaries have been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. In 2022 and 2023, I went around teaching people about the importance of this. I toured Western Canada, showing people the importance of hosting constitutional conventions, and we better hurry. That was my message in 2022, 2023. Of course, 2024 was all about restoring my health. But I continued my work by distance, remotely, helping people see the importance. And I have only ever been able to sit down with one community that wanted to actually go through all of the steps. And that's in Drayton Valley. Why do I say this? Because in the Constitution of the United States, in order for a state to become a part of the states, that state in question must be a republic. It can't be anything else because it's a republic. The United States is a republic. So therefore, the states that join the states have to be a republic. Well, in order for that to happen, in order for Canada to become a republic, they have to host constitutional conventions. And I can assure you that there are not enough people. I can assure you there's clearly not enough people willing to do that. So what does that mean? Well, it means that Trump has a plan to override the Constitution of the United States of America if he plans on doing this. And so that's issue number one. Issue number two is that he wants to amalgamate the entire North American continent into one entity, no different than what the EU did to Europe. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. Let's sink the entire country or the entire continent into crippling debt. And what we'll do, just to make sure that we can prolong it as long as possible, is that we'll have the most producing areas provide the resources for this destruction. Because that's what they did to Germany. Most people don't know this. Most people don't know anything about Germany and what actually happened. I'm streaming on YouTube, so I'm going to be careful. I do want to reach more people and share the good news, because there is good news. It's just unfortunate that most people are fighting about the wrong thing. It's like we were approached by someone to do a live stream on this topic, and I'm thinking to myself, what a waste. It's like both sides of the argument, people who are for and against Canada being 51st state, both of them have flawed premises on their arguments. None of them are even in the right context to be having a conversation about this. So issue number one is Canada doesn't want to do constitutional conventions. And so that means America, United States, Trump has a plan to usurp the Constitution in order to make Canada part of the states. Second thing, Canada is actually already part of the states. The corporation itself was registered by the District of Columbia. And so the District of Columbia being DC, Washington, DC, its own nation, by the way, a lot of people don't realize that. The Washington, DC is not part of the United States of America. Washington, DC is its own country. and it issues its own credit. It's called the Federal Reserve Note. That's their national currency. It's not the US dollar. And so that's where I think this is going to all come from. That the Washington, D.C. already governs the finances and all decisions regarding financial all the financial policy of the Dominion of Canada is operated under the District of Columbia. I don't have it here right now, but I've got paperwork for all of this. So that's concern number 2. But here's concern number 3, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to present to you a video file of a woman that has been studying this extensively.
I'm back. I missed all of you. I'm very excited to be here. A couple days ago, I posted on Blue Sky and I said that I felt like the Conservatives had a billionaire in their back pocket, and I was going to tell you who I think it is. And then Justin Trudeau was like, hey, I'm going to quit, and this is going to be the leading headline. But I've decided that while everybody's over there watching what the Liberals are doing, I'm going to tell you what I think the puppeteer who's controlling the Conservative Party is doing and who it is. Have you ever seen this logo before? This logo is going to be one of the most important conversations we ever have. Oz Ventures is a capital fund that has 3 locations: Canada, Israel, and the United States. It was launched in 2016, and even though it was launched in Canada, its entire goal was to invest in Israeli-based companies that were producing artificial technologies, advanced militarized technologies, cybersecurity, you name it. But I said I was going to tell you who I thought was in control of the Conservative Party of Canada and where their money was coming from. Why on earth would I be talking about a company that's based in Toronto but developing technology for the Israeli government to effectively eradicate Palestinians? How would those things be linked? Stephen Harper. It's Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper is a partner and president of this company. And this company that Stephen Harper is a partner in has invested at least $300 million, but estimates are that it's substantially higher because they have done one hell of a job to hide their money. And the things that they're investing in are literally how to eradicate other human beings using super sketchy AI and crazy face recognition software and the most wild dystopian militarized shit you've ever heard of. But it's not just Stephen Harper. There's a former MI5 director, a former CSIS director, a former CIA director, and the former director of the Israeli military occupation. But wait, there's more. More FBI, more IDF, more elite Israeli intelligence special forces, more Israeli police forces, more Israeli intelligence, and Israeli infrastructure. This company is also investing directly into the Israeli military. They're not just investing privately. They're also directly investing into what is supposed to be a public entity. One of the private companies that Oz has invested in is something called Coresight, and it's an AI technology that does face recognition, but it's so advanced and it's so good that it can even recognize people when their faces are covered. That is fucking terrifying. And Coresight has been using the invasion since October 2023 to test their face recognition software to make sure that it is as good as they think it is, even though they keep having to blow up like hospitals and schools and stuff because they think that there might be terrorists inside those buildings. I digress. Their plan is to basically test this technology to see if it works, and then Stephen Harper has been shopping it to other countries. I'm not fucking kidding. So Oz does seem to have a first and foremost priority to serve Israel, but then their secondary piece is to make these products commercially viable and to be sold to the commercial sector. So it seems like they're serving governments, but also plan to sell this back to private companies like a fucking movie theater who can recognize people's facial reactions. I don't know. Why do we need this technology? And the only thing that they invest in is security and intelligence technologies that could have a military or commercial application.
I'm just going to stop there. That's only halfway done. And she continues to blow minds. I'm just going to stop there because I want to go back in time. The reason why this video holds a lot of significance for me is because I actually woke up to the corruption in the banking structure and who it is that are our mortal enemy on planet Earth, their identity. And again, only because I'm on YouTube and I want to make sure that I do reach as many people as possible, am I censoring this. In my private community, I will open up very, very freely about who this enemy is, but just not here. She alludes to it. Of course, points directly at them, I should say. But I wanted to bring this up because in 2009 is when I woke up to the financial fraud that occurred in 2008. And in that path, in that journey, I ended up following a lot of the financial policies that were being brought forward by Canada, especially in the wake of all of the bailouts that occurred. People don't realize this, but Harper, before he left office, he began all of the steps necessary to pass the bills that allowed banks to do bail-ins for the next big crisis, whenever that might be, of course. You see, they couldn't do bailouts anymore. They tapped out. They used up all their credit for bailouts, of course. And Harper knew that. And so he legislated it such a way that banks, the next time that there is oh my gosh, look at how terrible this crisis is, financial crisis, what are we going to do? The next time that happens, he made it legal for all of the banks to take everybody's deposits and just call it their property. In fact, it's been in the fine print of people's banking agreements since. Now, Harper started it, but he didn't have enough time to finish it, but that's okay. That's okay. Because Trudeau was the one to finish it. So you see, people, it is the entire parliament that is in on this. I hear about it, and even Tamara Litch, she talks about how we need to find out who these 11 traitors are. It's like, excuse me? Well, I'll save you some time. There's 338 of those fuckers. And you can just clear across the board. Arrest them all. Clear across the board. Evict them. Exile them. And especially where the circumstances warrant it, you execute them. That's what needs to happen. We've had to do this hundreds of times for thousands of years. We've had to do this. Evict, exile, and execute as necessary. We're going to have to do it again.
Application. It's their thing. It's literally their thing. Now, this next part is really just me hypothesizing based on the breadcrumbs that I was able to find. Stephen Harper, during his time as Prime Minister, loosened the regulations around banking compliance and reporting and made it easier for people to offshore money, specifically Canadians to offshore money. By deregulating a lot of these safety nets, he effectively made it so that he could hide money anywhere. After he left office, he started the IDU, which has effectively dismantled democracy on a global scale. Something that I've noticed with the IDU's practices is they go into places that are extremely resource rich but democracy poor and help far right ideology to continue to take hold and either get elected or stay elected and stay in power in these places. I don't think he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart, and I would assume that he's making a shit ton of money doing that. But from a public declaration standpoint, it's estimated that his net worth is only $7 million. This is the guy who's the chairman of an international organization that's working with actual dictators. There's no way he's not making some crazy money off of that. In 2016, he also started Oz Venture Capital that's successfully invested in all of these militarized applications and AI technology and face recognition and all of this crazy software that has huge financial value to it, and yet he still has this stagnant net worth. I don't buy it for a second. Pair that with the fact that he just got access to the Aimco fund that has an estimated value of $160 billion. And we know that he misappropriated funds from the conservative fundraising account while he was overseeing that for 4 years. And I have a feeling that a whole bunch of this $160 billion is going to end up invested in Oz. It's going to end up perpetuating AI technologies that effectively eradicate humans that stand in opposition of far-right ideology. I completely understand that the important conversation of the day is the fact that Justin Trudeau has just stepped down. And I think that that's something that definitely needs to be talked about. But there's a lot of other voices who are covering that. So I'm going to continue to look over here and see what the puppet master is doing. Because since Stephen Harper left office in 2015, he's effectively launched an organization that's systematically destroying democracy on a global scale and aligning itself with totalitarian regimes that are exploiting people and literally murdering their own population to acquire more resources. He also launched an investment fund that has funneled so much fucking money into the Israeli Defense Fund and technologies that are eradicating a population, and that population is being used as R&D to figure out if this tech works and if they can sell it to other totalitarian regimes. This guy is doing some fucked up shit and nobody noticed because he's just like the fun ex-prime minister who's super zany and wears a blazer with jeans. What a guy. Hey friends, he enjoys making jazz music and has a cover band. Meanwhile, he's effectively launching technologies that are in fact terrifying. He is weaponizing AI in a way that makes dystopian movies look like they're a playbook. I really, truly, wholeheartedly believe that Stephen Harper is in control of the Conservative Party at a federal level. I also believe that he is pulling the strings at a provincial level in at least the province of Alberta. I believe that he has figured out how to acquire more money to funnel into technology development of weaponized technology that should make all of us quite fearful. And he has done it with next to nobody noticing. Oh, and his investment company helped to fund that super sketchy cell phone thing I talked about before, where your cell phone can be tracked, and people have literally been unalived because of that technology. So, yeah, happy Monday. Welcome to Nitty 2025. I'm going to diversify my platform so you can follow me on Blue Sky. I'm going to put my Instagram in the place where all the clickies are, and I'm going to continue to make content. We've got some sponsors, all that kind of stuff, because low-key, I want to go off-grid.
I've been preparing for today since 2008, knowing that the digital ID was always the end game. COVID wasn't about our health. It wasn't even about the vaccine. It was about conditioning people to accept orders in order to be a part of society. All of our politicians, not a single one of them is good. They are, all of them, beyond evil. Trump's talking about the 51st, Canada being the 51st state. Trudeau's pretend fake resignation, even so much as the devastation that gets inflicted, are all attempts made by our mortal enemy to distract us from what's going on. And this has been why I've had such a frustrating time over the last 4 years, because you try to tell people that this is what's happening. This woman here, I mean, imagine that, someone who just knits for a living, and in order to support her work, she just requests that you buy her yarn. She's uncovered a lot of the details, but I mean, none of this surprises me. There is the amount of treason, high treason, that has been committed by all of our politicians from day one. From the day they take office, they are committing high treason. I can't stress this enough. It's so important that the people come together and evict, exile, and execute these people as necessary. The punishment for high treason is, and I'm quoting the sentence, hung by the neck till dead. And I can assure you, Canada, you so friendly Canadians with your please and thank yous and pardon me's, it's about time that you stopped all of that nonsense. And it's time you formed constitutional conventions, host constitutional conventions, and secure, safeguard, and be an active participant in the defense of your lives, your families' lives, and your communities. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But then please, for the love of life itself, stop talking about things you have no idea what you're talking about. Canada being the 51st state. Should we or shouldn't we? That's not the question. The question is, do you, Canada, want to have a free country? Because if you do, you first must be a free people. That's why I do what I do. I teach people how to leave Canada without moving an inch. Nobody has to be a part of this nonsense. You can simply opt out. You don't have to fight the system. You don't have to create a ruckus. There's nothing you need to do. You simply practice the freedom that you were born with. That's all you got to do. I was debanked years ago. And finally, in the, what would that have been? That was the summer of 2024, last summer in August. I completely separated myself from that banking system. I only have the only way that I can interact with Canada right now is through non-banking services. And I love it. Why? Because I know that as these plans come into fruition, and as Canada continues to be distracted by all of the bullshit in the media especially the alternative media, that they are going to experience extremely hard times. I think that Canada itself, the Canadians that live in it, are going to be destitute. I think that they are going to be driven into the ground, forced to sell everything they have to survive. And with people like Harper, who essentially has positioned himself as the purveyor of digital IDs and mass surveillance attached to those identifiers, it's going to be a rough ride. And thankfully, none of it has to happen. None of it has to happen. And the only way that I seem to be able to convey my frustration is actually through a song. I'm going to share that song right now. Let's call it up. This song was written by Younger Brother. And the name of the song is Train by Younger Brother from their album Vaccine. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here just so people can just see the power of this here. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the lyrics and everything. I don't know that people will be able to hear this. Let's go and find a YouTube of this so that we can listen together. Let's pull this over here. There we go. And I will also display the lyrics because you need to see the lyrics. Do it like this. Present, share screen, entire screen. And where is it? There it is. Share. All right, so video is going to be on the main screen here, and then lyrics will be passing by along the side. I just realized something. That's not going to work, is it? Is that audio coming through for you guys? Can you just let me know whether or not that audio is coming through?
Nope.
It's not?
Can't hear nothing.
Okay, hang on. How do I get this? You know what? I'm just going to share you guys the video. I don't know why it's not letting me. Oh, I think I might be just have too many tabs. And share it this way. Yep. Also share audio.
Can't hear it.
Still can't hear?
Yes, can hear it.
Or can? Okay. Got it. And the lyrics aren't showing up. This was written in 2011. The album is called Vaccine. That's the way
The world flashing past, so many of us moving so fast. I feel my heart slow as we go under. I don't bow down. Nothing left undecided. Up on steel, through these cuts in the earth. No question who was here first. Many dreams, many lifetimes, any of which could be me. Said that I'm the one unable to move upon this machine. Upon this machine.
I think that's right. It's like there's so much that can be done to make this go away. I'm the only one who can't do it. We all have to do it. And the frustration is knowing that it's actually quite easy, and I can even take the steps. We need to be working together.
Caravan emotion, alone in crowds just like me.
Alone in the crowd, just like you.
I fell between the moments, I fell between the beats. As rain runs along the windows, nothing here is still. All the patterns colliding through these villages and hills. So many dreams, so many lifetimes, any of which could be me. Sam, that I'm the one unable to move upon this machine.
That's pretty much it. Mostly just improvisation and jamming from there on out. Go ahead and cancel that. But yeah, that song really exemplifies the sentiment that I have towards humanity today. I am more than happy to help out however I possibly can. We have a lot of work to do. And I'm done trying to convince people that this is what they need to do. I am simply here offering to help people who want to solve this problem. And it starts with the individual. The peace that we want to feel, that surrender to joy that we deeply crave, that feeling of coming home to a place of safety, to a place of comfort, where family can rest and grow. The only way we're going to be able to achieve that is if we find it within ourselves. It must be something we experience ourselves. Once we have that, we are empowered then to bring that forward to our communities. What kind of a market analysis is this, eh? I'm done, folks. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to write in the comments, private message me on X. If you're wanting to join in on our, inside our studio here, where you can live chat with me, and that way it was a lot more closer. If you have any questions about assets that you're curious about, or if you are just in general wanting to learn what steps you can take to make sure that the players that are on this, the players of this movie, the actors within this movie that we're watching, the name of the movie I call The Great Reset. As we're watching these actors do their bit, if you are looking for ways to remove the influence that they have over your life, I would be happy to meet with you. We don't need to be a part of any of that. We can completely separate ourselves from all of that nonsense. None of us have to experience what we're experiencing. All that needs to happen is we need to recognize where our power comes from. These forces that are out there, they are strong. There's no question. I can see the forces for what they are. But I can also see them for what they are. And as humanity, I think that we are very close to coming to a point where a very, very fringe minority of the fringe minority is going to realize the power of their beating heart and how much more power it has in their world than any of these criminals, psychopaths, murderers. We have so much going for us if all we do is recognize the power of our beating hearts. And if you'd like to learn how to unleash that in your life, unleash that power so that you can stand 10 foot tall and bulletproof when people like Harper are creating surveillance technologies for Israel to destroy Canada and other countries. This is what he wants to do with his life. This is the legacy that he wishes to leave behind, is being a destroyer of worlds. If you would like to learn how to help that look like a mouse, as threatening as a little tiny mouse, I can help you. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. I'm going to open it up to the private group now.